Welcome to the Minx Muse podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Minx, creatrix of Minx Muse, a fiercely feminine playhouse that cultivates self-discovery and empowerment through classes, workshops, and events centered around esoerotic dance, transformative movement, and mystical exploration. During this podcast, I'll be having candid conversations with fiercely feminine witches, seductresses, and dark goddesses living in Austin, Texas. Welcome, ChosenEyes, to the Minx Muse podcast.
Thank you for having me, Crimson.
You're
I'm super excited.
You're so welcome. What are we drinking today?
We are having ginger beer with lime.
Ginger beer with lime. Cheers.
Cheers. Gotta tap for the spirits.
Oh, tap for the spirits.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling we're going to learn a lot of fun little witchy things today from you.
I pride myself on educating, so.
So jumping in, how would you sum yourself up in one sentence or less?
ChosenEyes is the sexy librarian that essentially peddles magical sex ed. Think of me as the person who's making sure that you are armed with the proper knowledge and don't spread magical disease. That's me.
The sexy librarian.
Peddling magical
sex
ed.
Sex ed.
Yep, that's me.
That's awesome.
That's
I don't
right.
think I knew that you were that specialized, so that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. You're gonna do it anyway. I want everybody to explore, but do so safely.
Okay.
And well informed.
So let's just start at the very beginning.
Okay.
When were you aware of, because you identify as a clairvoyant, when did you realize that you had this gift? Was it at a young age as a kid? What was that like?
I didn't realize that I was different until I started elementary school. When I started,
Still pretty young.
Yeah. So about 4 or 5. I didn't realize that other kids weren't seeing what I was seeing until I started kindergarten at a private school, which of course opened my eyes to some other aspects of life. But and it was an older building. And the spirits in there, older buildings, of course, have different things that are going on, especially when you're tied to the land. And I'm originally from Missouri, so...
I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So St. Louis the Midwest has a history.
Very rich, yes.
Very rich, If anybody knows about Collinsville or Belleville, Illinois, which is just on the east side of the Mississippi River, you have Cahokia Mounds, which is the largest pyramid-like structure in North America. So, which is also very paranormally active. There's a lot of UFO sightings in this area. So, and St. Louis, there's a huge history around the Mississippi River in St. Louis. So, all that to say, this little building that I'm in, all these energies are speaking to me. And one day, some of the other girls from my kindergarten class walk into the bathroom. Who are you talking to? And I just, clear as day. I'm like, oh, I'm talking to so-and-so. And it was a guy who used to be the janitor that had passed on, right? I forget his name. And so I'm telling these girls this, and they're telling me I'm crazy. They went and told the teacher, who then was talking to my grandparents, because my grandparents were raising me at this point, and it was this whole debacle. So that's how I found out, I guess not everybody else is like me.
You don't see Hank over there in the corner?
Right, it's just like he's right here, clear as day, And I was also giving information that I should not have had. I was able to describe him in a way, and within the Black community, that's, unless it's in a very formal Christian setting and evangelical, it's usually not acceptable. So it was a very scary thing for the adults. So there's all.
Now, did any of your family members have the same gift though? Did you find that out afterwards, or?
Oh, prior to that, my grandmother and I have always been close. Both of my grandmothers. My paternal grandmother passed when I was in college, but we spoke very openly about it, and my maternal grandmother and I still to this day do. But it was very much a thing of, that's great that you have that, keep it in the house. So, and I get it looking back on it, it's very much about my safety and not wanting everybody else, to hear about it. But I didn't get the speech about keep it in the house until after that debacle in kindergarten. But I do come from a family of clairvoyants and mediums. I am the only one who openly practices So, which has been interesting because in coming out and practicing more, then it's kind of giving them a little bit more courage to, speak about it slightly more, but and not think of me as, I can't say they've ever thought of me as weird, but I think it gave them a better understanding for who I was.
Yeah. So when you say that you now practice openly, what does that look like? What are some of the things you do?
I'm on social media now. For the longest, I've been doing this for profit.
Yeah, what is this, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So I've
been reading for people.
You do readings.
Yep. So tarot readings, mediumship. So I don't actively channel those who have transitioned, but I allow them to speak to me if they want to come through. I'm not a person who believes in going out and disturbing somebody from their eternal slumber. Like, hey, your daughter misses you. Like, I don't do that. But, if someone needs some clarity or some closure, and, I hold space. And that's what I think about with witches. We hold space, right? So with my practice, I'm about holding space and bridging gaps. So through tarot, mediumship, gemstone readings, I do root work. But I've been doing all of those things for profit since about 13 and a half, 14.
Oh, wow. In Austin, or where were you before?
No, so I started for profit in Atlanta, where I went to middle school and high school.
Okay.
And then I went to college in New Orleans, Louisiana, which is where I met my husband, had my son, all those great things. But ironically, nobody really knew within my family that I was doing this for profit. It was something I kept very close to the belt. Just again, the stigma. Mm-hmm. And also knowing that I wanted to get into medical school and being young and not realizing that the duality could coexist and I could make it my own. So just that fear of, I will be taken seriously as a doctor.
Well, and that may have been the case 10 years ago even. Sure. This is kind of just emerging where people seem to be
more inclusive and
not more open to the idea of like integrating spirituality in whatever sense that looks like into like more like traditional science.
True. So for profit, this is going on almost year 24.
Wow.
I know, I'm an old biddy in the game. But I'm enjoying it. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard great things about your readings. And so I want to go back to the mediumship thing a bit. So your experience, so if I'm getting a reading with you, you are open to other spirits coming through, but it's not something that you would say do like a seance or something like that. Okay, gotcha.
Personal preference.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
I never shit on another witch. There are other witches who do wonderful jobs and do great work with seances. It is just, I view myself, portals are a thing for me. And that's one portal, like Ouija boards and other holding seances in space in that regard. Those are portals I personally don't feel comfortable opening.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. We've had 2 seances here, so we're open to all the things, but we've also had people say, I have no interest in coming into your studio for something like that because I don't like the idea of exactly opening a portal. So it is just kind of trusting your instincts. And
I could go to one.
You could go to one. Okay.
I just don't want to be the person holding that, because that's a space, which is a class that I also teach. But that's a heavy portal to open. But so yeah, I pretty much am a conduit for whoever needs to come through. And I've had several instances where people want to connect with a loved one that has transitioned, and let's say they want to speak to their aunt who's crossed over, but someone else has come through and given more information than that person. You know what I mean?
I've heard that's how that works. It's like, yeah, you want to talk to grandmama, but like Uncle Joey, who like maybe you have some unfinished business with, is
or
like,
don't even know, and is like on it. It's just like, hey, and your grandmama is sitting there just like, listen to him. Like, and people don't get that. It's not a power trip. Mm-hmm. This is flowing through me. These people are coming to me because they need help, or those who have transitioned are asking me to, help them with being able to, have their peace. So it's not about forcing any one side.
Okay. And in your readings, do you rely heavily on that kind of information, or more on the tarot information, or that's kind of like a...
So I do teach tarot. Mm-hmm. I've taught several intro to tarot classes, which I very much enjoy. Full disclaimer, I am an academic, but I am not, I'm not a textbook tarot reader.
Okay.
I understand the rules because I break them responsibly. But when it comes to tarot or even gemstone readings or anything else that I do, I'm a medium first and foremost. Okay. So if you sit down and you have a tarot reading with me, your soul, your aura, everything is essentially the world map. The tarot cards that you select, because I have the person select them if we're in person. If not, then I will choose them for them so long as they allow me to do so. But those cards are essentially push pins on a world map that tell me to focus on this, and this.
Got it.
So it helps me to streamline it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
It's twofold. I mean, the tarot card itself, of course, has its own imagery and meaning, but it tells me how it corresponds to your energy right here, right now.
Gotcha. Makes complete sense. And you read, you can, we're going to put all of your information in the show notes and everything, but you do Skype readings, you do in-person readings, you do in-person readings at Yarrow and Sage.
I used to at Yarrow and Sage. Unfortunately, I'm not there any longer.
Oh, you're not there anymore.
But Frida Friday ATX, Austin Witches Market, I'm pretty consistent at both of those venues. Melanated Marketplace.
Cool.
And I will have a new location within the next 2 weeks. So I'm excited about that. I will definitely be announcing that online on social media. Yeah. And if Crimson ever decides to have me here for an event, I'm happy to be here as well.
That will definitely happen because it's happened before. Yeah. So, and so speaking of academic, I wanted to put that in because I knew that I would forget at the end.
No worries.
So, but that I did not mean to wrap up the conversation because I have a lot more questions for you.
Please.
So you because you have mentioned multiple times that you're really into the academic side as you scoot your glasses up. So you just got your doctorate.
I did. I'm a clinical doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. So that means I stab people and play with flowers for a living and then to give them to you to make you feel better. I am very excited about that chapter of my life being over from the standpoint of the mental output. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited about being able to incorporate that into my magic work. It was very difficult for 7 years to have to be more of my linear, logical, left brain self. And now it's, and having to kind of put this on, my more spiritual, creative side a little bit more to the back burner. It's more 80-20. And that was very lopsided and very difficult line to have to toe. But I'm excited now that I get to, of course, make my own rules.
Yeah. What is that looking like to you? So now that you have that doctorate, are you planning on integrating it into your spiritual work? Okay.
Magic is medicine and medicine is magic in my world. So one thing I learned, especially coming from Oriental medicine, which is very deeply rooted in Taoism, which is a form of Eastern mysticism. You can't ignore the spiritual and not take into account the material or the physical. The two coincide. They're not mutually exclusive. And so for me, with my work, it's reminding people that not only, are your physical ailments tied to what's going on with you emotionally, but let's also take into account what's going on, as above, so below. So astrology plays a role in my work. Mm-hmm. Herbalism, the concept of holism, which is the root of Oriental medicine, is why I fell in love with the medicine, but also reminds me why I'm tethered to the work that I do. So I just want everybody to be the best version of themselves.
And you come with it in the eye of someone who has a deep understanding of more medical science things too. You don't kind of dismiss that world. So it's really interesting.
No, my research was for my capstone project, which is the research you have to conduct in order to finish your fellowship in Oriental medicine, was in herbal topical therapies for burn rehabilitation, specifically for infection management and tissue regeneration. So pretty much, how do we get your skin to heal without you dying of infection or having gangrene and your limb fall off, right? But using herbs to do so. And it was appalling in the sense that I realized that there hadn't been much research in that area since the 1960s.
Wow. Well, there's more money in farming than plants, and we all know that.
That's shifting too, but that's
you noticing that?
Yeah, totally. Good. And it's interesting that you have more Western practitioners who are starting to come over to the witchy world, and profess to be witches because, we're trusted. What can I say? So it's nice to have that intersectionality, but it's also a very fuzzy fine line on, okay, well, how much of this is you jumping on a trend versus this is legitimately an awakening in who you're becoming,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I actually got laughed at, I found this very interesting. To some witches, I've sold out because I went to medical school. And then to most doctors, I'm a quack because I am very open about my practices. I don't feel the need to hide either from either world, And so I'm this weird little misfit that, was just like, well, screw both of you,
Yeah, but when people connect with you, they connect with you.
And I would much rather have that. Either that you rock with me or you don't.
Yeah.
And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I want my brand to continue to grow and flourish, but I would much rather have those who are loyal than to just have those jumping on a bandwagon.
Yeah.
So the Instagram likes are great. Thanks, you guys, you're awesome. But if I would rather do good work with 1,600 people than to do mediocrity with 80,000.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're starting a Patreon, right?
I am starting a Patreon account. I've already told you I'm shitting bricks about this. I'm nervous because I'm so excited. This is something I've wanted to do for a while. I've never thought of myself. Can I tell a quick story?
Of course, that's what you're here for.
So for the longest, people have told me I would be a really great teacher. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't have patience. I can't do it. No. But I always wanted to be a doctor. So then I go through the first section of my Oriental medical training. And I was sitting in my last clinic's rotation, and my professor asked me, what do you want to do now? And it just blew, like word vomit. I was like, I think I want to teach now. And I was like,
Who said that?
Who said that? What the hell? But it felt right. And so that's why I even went for my doctorate, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm, going through all the things, doing all the things, all the rotations, and flying out to LA every 2 weeks or every month. And I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. Like, oh my God. Like, I don't know that I could do this. Like, when you're doing any type of witchy work, people are pulling at you energetically. Well, in medicine, it's very much the same. People are pulling at you because they need you. So you got two worlds, because mind you, I'm still doing, creating my brand ChosenEyes while in med school and raising a family. So I got 2 or 3 worlds really pulling at me. I'm like, I can't do this. And then I get to my presentation of my research. And the dean stands up and he goes, you are now all, future leaders and teachers. You're whole doctors now. And I burst out kind of like, and then everybody around me is kind of like, what the hell? And not at me, but like what he just said. I'm a person who prides myself on knowing word origins. It never dawned on me to look up what the hell the word doctor originated from. Doctor means teacher, literally. Docere. And I never knew that. So I laughed because he explained that. He was like, the word doctor means to teach. So you are all now teachers. I'm like, so I was running from myself this entire time, only to find myself. It was the craziest thing. So how this correlates with the whole Patreon thing is that this is my online school. This is where I am actually having a platform to consistently teach and teach the material that people are asking me to teach, and to teach the things that I find interesting and that I want to share. Crimson has been awesome in allowing me to have space in her venue at Minx Muse to teach classes. Awesome. But I do know that there are some things that I teach that tend to go over some people's heads that may be higher brow. And some of my followers in Austin, that are not in Austin rather, want to have an opportunity to learn from me. So this is a way for me to do that and be more remote and still kind of be introverted. So there's my long, convoluted story on how Patreon works. So
you'll be teaching.
I will be teaching classes on magical ethics. I also have some classes that are pertaining to sexuality and sensuality. My husband will be helping with a class with numerology.
Yes, I love that. Your husband got really into numerology after he met you, right?
Yes, after dating me.
He's like, well, I need a weird thing too.
I turned him out. I turned him out. But yeah, so I'm going to have small snippets for everybody. You know, I know not everybody's wanting to delve too far into things right off the bat. Mm-hmm. I know that some people kind of want to, just get their toes wet. There's something for everyone. I've got one tier contribution level that's just $1 a month, and one that is for more serious students that's $125 a month. But there's something in between all of those things. And if you have any questions, I'm totally around to ask for it.
That's cool. We wish you so much luck.
Thank you.
Is your son picking up on any of this, by the way?
He loves to read my tarot cards. He's actually pretty good. I don't like to talk too much about his spiritual development only because I don't want it to be what happened to me, which is where once people found out, they go ask Leah, like quietly, like, Leah can. I don't want that for him. I just want him to enjoy being a kid. But he does enjoy flipping mommy's tarot cards.
That's cool.
And he loves me giving him readings. Like, if he sees me when I'm working at markets and I have, like, some downtime, he's like, Mommy, can I have a reading? And it's so cute because he'll always, like, hold up his little dollar. And I'm like... But I also think what's really cool is that this is normal for him. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want. I don't want our world to be this gimmick or this novelty anymore. Mm. I don't want it to become something that people just get to market and franchise. I want this to be a way of life that's respected. Which brings me, if you don't mind me talking about my summer camp that I'm wanting to start.
Ooh.
So the reason behind the Patreon, in addition to having a platform to actually teach more regularly, is to start a summer camp for children who are psychically and spiritually gifted and or inclined. So that way they have a safe space to learn how to navigate and empower themselves and their gifts with people, namely mentors, who are going to help them navigate this.
But it's going to be different than...
It won't be a Harry Potter type school.
Oh, okay, Harry Potter. I was thinking, what's the New Orleans one? The Coven. Mm. What's that television show called?
Oh, American Horror Story?
Yeah, but it's going to be different than American Horror Story Coven.
Totally. I mean, they will learn some things about herbs and nature and connect to... Totally, but we're... No.
And it's not Harry Potter. Okay, but it could be cool like that.
No, it's going to be awesome. But they've already got camps where they're teaching kids, like, those types of...
Oh, I think it's brilliant. This is the first time hearing of this, and I think it's an amazing idea.
Yeah, I remember being that kid... It's specifically teaching kids how to navigate a world that's not going to try to bend to them. So I remember being that kid, sitting in school, hearing the other people, people on the other side, and not knowing how to get them to shut up or like mute it for a minute. So teaching them how to, when they're at school, how to tell the other side to calm down and leave me alone for a minute. When they're in social settings with their parents, how to tell their parents, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just picking up something, So those real life situations and empowering parents so that way they understand what their child is going through, that they're not crazy. And, here's how you can help them through it. Because a lot of times parents who aren't inclined, you feel helpless. You don't know what your child's seeing. You've never experienced that. So in some cases you can make it worse without realizing it.
Yeah, unintentionally.
So that is the goal, summer of 2020. I want to have it here in Austin, Texas. And,
That sounds... What a great idea.
I've been sitting on that since I was 20, actually. So my friends jokingly say it's going to be like the new, like, X-Men. Like my own little not Leah, but ChosenEyes School of Extraordinary Psychic Kids. I'm like, that wouldn't be too bad.
I like that. Do it.
So we're going to start as a camp first, and then we'll see if it grows into a school. But I wouldn't mind being a headmistress.
That would be awesome. I don't have kids, but, if I...
You don't have to have kids. You can totally support. We're looking for mentors.
There we go. And I know people with kids that probably could really use that, so...
See? Everybody's got something to offer.
Yeah. What I do need you for is a workshop that you're teaching. Oh, yeah. Here at Minx Muse. Yes, because it's February. This is going to come out next week, so February, beginning of February. So yes, well, this podcast is, but you are doing a workshop on the 10th.
I am.
Yes, of February. So
It's gonna be on Love Magic.
Because Valentine's Day.
We're gonna be frilling. All lovey-dovey. So we're gonna be doing spells that are specifically catered toward jar spells. I like things that are practical, things that are small, tangible, and portable.
Yeah.
Like, magic on the go. And so what we're going to be doing is not only claiming intentions of love, like in a romantic or an erotic sense, which is always great, but love that's going to carry you beyond the Hallmark season of love. Sustainability. What type of love is sustainable, and how within this jar, what are we going to place within it? And creating that intention. I'm going to teach you some cool ways to make it ongoing. And how you can actually like swap it out throughout the year as need be. So let's say you got a boo right now that you're thinking you kind of want to keep around, and then they turn out to be an asshole, and you can like dump that. Like regroup.
Self-love too.
Oh, totally self-love. The basis of any love spell that I do starts with self-love.
That's cool.
It has to be, because if you don't love yourself, or you don't have at least enough love for yourself to contain and anchor, then there's no way for you to attract the type of love that you're wanting, and more importantly, that you deserve.
That's true.
So, your self-love, it has to anchor the spell.
And Valentine's Day can be a tricky time for a lot of people, especially if they're not in a good place with their love, or they don't have a love. So what I love about this workshop is you concepted this idea where it's like, this is inclusive to anyone, and love is something that everyone deserves, even if it's not in the Hallmark traditional holiday sense. So
I personally am not a Valentine's Day fan in ever since. Like, my husband does not have to buy me a Valentine's Day gift. My birthday is exactly 7 days before Valentine's Day, so what he does have to do is splurge on February 7th. Like, that is... From February 7th to February 13th, it's like, all me. But outside of that,
That's cool.
So,
yeah. You celebrate love year round.
I try. I try to give it as much as possible. Yeah,
what's a little, witchy little love spell thing that you can kind of share with us just to kind of whet our palate?
If you're looking for love of, like, an erotic love, you can take either like the small red skinny pillar kind of candles. You can take one of those, light it, allow some of the wax to drip on a surface that you don't mind getting wax on. That way you can anchor the candle. Put a nice sugar and salt ring around it. Sprinkle some cinnamon around it, and pink and red flowers. Or you can do white flowers. When in doubt, white is okay. And then with that, you write your intentions for love, burn it within the candle, and let the ashes fall.
I love that. And could you pick a different color? If you want it like a more romantic love, it could be like a pink. Yeah, okay.
That's friendship, cool. You can do yellow.
Cool.
But if you have your particular spiritual convictions or practices, follow the candle colors that correspond with those particular practices too.
We can learn that on your Patreon.
Totally. But I always go for pink or red with those.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so before we let you go, we have some standard closing questions that we're going to ask all of our guests.
Yay.
So, what is your personal mantra?
Only way forward is through. The only way forward is through. And for better or for worse, sometimes it's to my detriment, but I just, if there's something that I want and my convictions are that tightly bound to it, I just plow through. And I try to tell everybody that your convictions for anything you want in life have to amount to more than the artillery you're going to come under. Because if you know what you're holding out for, then it won't matter what bombs are coming your way, what you're missing out on, because you see this and you know that it's possible and it's there. It's real. Everybody else doesn't have to see it. And I will share this one. My grandmother always taught me, you can't expect somebody else who lacks 20/20 vision to see your vision. So if you have vision and somebody else isn't seeing it, you're not the crazy one. It's just not their vision to see. And it's not for everybody else to be a part of.
Amen, sis.
The gospel according to Shirley.
Okay, so what is your favorite sensuous indulgence?
Food. I like food. But I do like food, and I'm big on the way things smell. So like scented candles, really nice perfume, really nice flowers, really good food. Noticing a theme here. Aside from food, honestly, smells. Scents. It has to be like, if something smells off, I can't do it. I can't go in a place that smells off. I just nails on a chalkboard. But yes. So my favorite thing right now. There's a scent. Actually, there are two companies. Nest. I love their scents. You can actually find them in Sephora. Responsibly sustained. I don't know if they're witchy owned, but you would think so if you looked at all their stuff. And Harlem Candle Company. They're based out of Harlem, New York. And I like their scents from what I've smelled. They're at Bloomingdale's, but they're candles, and then they're based off of all of their themes are centered around the Harlem Renaissance.
Oh, cool.
So it is a Black-owned business, and she what's cool is that when you burn the candle all the way down, then it turns into a glass.
Turns into a glass.
Well, that turns into a glass, so once the wax is all out, then it's like the container is an actual glass that you can use for like sipping scotch or brandy or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
It has like a gold inlay. They're gorgeous.
Oh, I'm gonna look into that.
I'll send it to you on Instagram.
Thank you.
But yeah, they're awesome. So yeah, scents.
And then and since you were really into food, what's like off the top of your head, something that you're just like, if I'm indulging?
Creme brulee.
Creme brulee. Cool. That's
favorite
a good
dessert.
one. I love creme brulee myself.
Mm-hmm.
So what is something that you are currently manifesting?
Sustainability. Sustainability is my mantra. Well, my 2019 mantra, but that is the one thing that I'm really working on. Going back to the only way forward is through. That's still a good mentality to have, but I've realized that I have to do what's sustainable. What sustains me and allows me to be whole spiritually, emotionally, physically, what allows me to be happy. And some of the things that I once thought really were sustainable weren't. And it's okay because, life happens between 35 and 36. So.
Are you turning 36?
I am turning 36.
Oh.
I know. My grandmother, so my grandmother is an Aquarian like me. She just turned 88. But
happy birthday, Grandma.
Happy birthday. But she and I talk a lot, and one of the things that she mentioned when I turned 30, actually no, when I turned 34 was that, so she grew up Southern Baptist. So your first, the Bible gives you 70. So you're guaranteed 70 years on this earth. So the first half of that is, 0 to 35. She's like, the first 30 years, everybody tells you as a woman who the hell you are. From 30 to 34, you're debunking all that shit and getting rid of it. Like, is this really who I am? No, it's not who I am. And like, you're going back, reviewing the tape and getting rid of shit, right? And she's like, 35 to 36, like 35 is that year where you're just like, you know what? Here's what I'm like, it's like the final cut, right? And 36 to 70, she's like, that's when you're supposed to live out you. Like, that's you. That's your sweet spot. And she's like, that's when everything, you gotta make it count. And so now that I'll be 36 in a week, I'm just like, you know what can I really sustain, and what's really gonna allow me to have like the kick-ass life that I see for myself and that I want for my son and for my family. So sustainability.
Wow, Grandma's so wise.
Dude, I'm telling you. She has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. Like, she's always been a person that I've been able to go to and talk to and just give real advice. I mean, I was very close to all my grandparents, but she and her husband, my grandfather, have always been two people I've been able to get advice from, and she in particular gets me in a way that others don't, so.
I think that's true. I think a lot of times we're sold the idea that like youth is is the most ideal time, right? And that's when you're gonna be living your best life and in your utmost happiness, especially with like advertising and
totally,
social media influencers, whatever. But I mean, truth is, I think Grandma knows. I moved to Austin when I was 36, a little over 36. See? But yeah, it wasn't until like being older till I get happier every year for sure. I definitely feel myself every year. That's right. I do not long for that like 20-year-old version of myself.
No, all that angst and just confusion. Like no,
because you're right. As she said, you were listening to what other people wanted. So yeah,
and she has always been a proponent. Like, I mean, in the moment when these things would happen, she would drive her crazy. But she's always said, you know, regardless of what somebody else thinks, even if it's me, if you feel like if you know that's what you're supposed to do, do it. You know, and of course, in those moments where that's happened, there's been a few where she's just like, "Are you crazy?" I was like, "You told me." You know,
sit her in the ass a little bit sometimes,
just
but
just a smidge. But you know, my family going. You know, you asked a question earlier. My maternal side is very southern in their roots. They're from the Mississippi Delta.
Okay.
So a lot of what I do comes from those traditions. You know, the things that my grandmother taught me, you know, from the things that were passed down to her in terms of her practice that, you know, in talking to her, that really wasn't, there wasn't this divide between religion and being a woman in the know. You know, the pastor was coming to the woman who wrote Roots in order to be able to beef up his congregation, you know, but also try to figure out what can he do to help, you know, those who were starving, you know, like, so there was a symbiotic relationship. It wasn't until, and she and some other women in her generation have said this, like, it wasn't until World War II where that really changed. With the Great Migration and blacks were moving out of the Deep South up north, and up north is where it was kind of shunned to practice root work, and because it was backwards, you know, everything up there was supposedly more cosmopolitan, and of course, you know, putting together some, you know, some hot foot oil apparently is less than favorable, you know. Now you can't keep it off the fucking shelves in those same places, but you know, there was this divide. So, a lot of my conversations with her and my grandfather, you know, you had men who were, you know, learning from alongside women, but in the Deep South, a lot of those traditions really came from, you know, black women. And so now, you know, being in the South, it's very interesting to see some of those shifts.
We'll have to have you back and do a longer episode on that, because that would be really interesting.
Totally. I'm totally game for that. That's actually a topic I'm very passionate about.
Oh, well, we're going to do it, because this guy's just going to go. This podcast has no end in sight, so we're going to run out of guests eventually. No, not this immediate one. I mean, like, in general, the series, so I want to have repeat guests. So as I'm interviewing people, I'm thinking, oh, okay, that would be something we can dive deep into next time. So
please. That is a topic that is very dear to my heart.
I would love to do a whole episode on that. I'm sure a lot of people would also appreciate that, because I would learn a lot from that as well.
You're from the Northeast, right?
I'm from Jersey, yes.
Jersey girl.
I guess we have our own kind of witchiness up there, but I find, especially now living in the South, I want to learn more about kind of the history here. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So last question. What is, now that we're both Austinites and we are in an Austin-centric podcast, what is one thing in Austin that you think we should all check out?
That was a hard one. One thing.
I don't like to steer people too much, but it could be like an event. It could be...
Okay. There's two.
Okay.
I think that you should check out any of the women-owned spaces in Austin. I think Austin has a lot to offer in that regard. So, of course, Minx Muse.
Hey.
Freedom Friday ATX is an awesome one. It's all women of color. And it's women of color owned. Shout out to TK. Melanated Marketplace. Shout out to Righteous. It is also another black and brown market, predominantly black here in Austin. I think you should check out Houston-Tillotson University. It is actually the oldest historically black university in Austin, possibly Texas. It's really
what's it called?
Houston-Tillotson University.
Houston. Okay,
it's right on 7th and Chicon. It's small, but because I graduated from a historically black university as well, I like to make sure that I have that camaraderie. But check it out. They have a lot of great things that happen there, and they offer a lot of free classes too.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And if you're into tacos, Torchy's is number one in my book. Just saying. If you're into tamales, Tamale House, I told you I like food. So those are my things. Oh, and pho. Pho with us. No, that's the name of the restaurant.
My favorite thing is kind of the naming pho restaurants.
Mm-hmm. Pho with us, and was a Fanatic, and like some other ones.
There's the best out there, yeah.
Yeah. So those would be my things. I think Austin really did a great job when it came to, or at least lately have done a great job with making sure that women are represented and people of color are represented.
Yeah.
So check out any of us. We're all of course, check me out.
I can't imagine they wouldn't after this. So, ChosenEyes, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Cheers.
Tap, tap, tap.
Tap to the spirits.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing your soul this afternoon.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm used to tapping down to the bartender, but now I know to do it for the spirits.
For the spirits.
Yes, excellent. And thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. Bye.
Bye. Keep your gazes forward.
Thank you for joining us for the Minx Muse podcast. You can find show notes and learn more about the studio at www.minxandmuse.com. Go get your life, boo, and we'll see you again soon.